Hey guys, I'm Chef Tom, and today we're going to be tackling a barbecue classic, the pulled pork sandwich. To make the pulled pork, we'll be using a Boston butt pork shoulder that we'll be injecting with Smoke on Wheels pork injection and marinade. We'll be seasoning the meat with Plowboy's Yardbird barbecue rub, and we'll sauce the pork with Blues Hog's original barbecue sauce as well as the Tennessee Red. For the slaw, we need 1 pound of slaw mix, that's shredded cabbage and carrots, 3 green onions, the green part only, sliced thin, 1 sweet apple, diced small, 3/4 of a cup of RQ Ivory barbecue sauce, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and a shake of Yardbird barbecue rub. Let's get started on trimming this pork butt. The first thing I'm going to do is just run my hands all over the surface to see if I feel any small bones or just anything that's hard that shouldn't be there. Sometimes there's a little bit of cartilage or something like that left on that you may need to trim off. Next, I'm going to completely remove the fat cap. Now, certainly there's lots of different ways that people like to trim a pork butt. Some folks like to leave that fat cap on with the belief that it renders and bastes the meat as it cooks, but really it's the fat running through the strands of meat that is basting the meat as it cooks. The fat that does render from the fat cap really just drips off. By removing the fat cap, we expose the meat, which allows our rub to penetrate into that meat. It would never get through the fat cap otherwise. Now let's flip the butt over and find this crevice on the other side. You'll see you can kind of work your fingers in here, and then as you pull away, you can use your knife to carefully slice between these muscles. Now what you have lining these muscles is a lot of unnecessary fat and connective tissue and some sort of gross stuff. You can go ahead and get rid of all of that so that all that's remaining is the exposed meat. And once again, this allows us to get more rub and more flavor to penetrate that meat. So after closing this back up, we'll just take a look and see if there's any excess fat on this side that needs trimmed off as well. With our butt all trimmed up, it's time to mix our injection. We're using Smoke on Wheels pork marinade and injection. This is really our go-to injection for pulled pork. We're going to work our way around this entire roast in a grid pattern, injecting every inch or two. As we insert the needle, poke around a little bit to sort of create a pocket that can hold the injection. Inject until the pocket fills up and the liquid begins to come back out. You'll find that this pork butt will hold quite a bit of this liquid. We'll probably fill this thing up with about a cup of injection. Remove any excess liquid on the outside by patting the surface with paper towels. And now we're ready to rub. We'll be using Plowboy's barbecue Yardbird rub. We'll start by seasoning the side where the fat cap was. We give the surface a good coating and make sure we hit the sides before flipping it over and seasoning that side as well. And don't forget to open up that crevice and season all of that meat surface as well. Now we'll give this about 10 minutes for the rub to really soak in and attach to the meat before we take it out to the cooker. We'll be smoking our pork butt at 250 degrees today on our Yoder Smokers YS 640 pellet cooker. We'll start out cooking it open on the second shelf until we achieve a really nice color on the outside. This initial smoking portion is probably going to take around 4 hours, and you'll probably see an internal temperature of about 155. Those are just guidelines. What you're really looking for is a really nice mahogany color on the outside of the pork butt. Now while your pork's cooking, this is a good time to put together your slaw so that it can sit in the fridge and marinate for a few hours before you eat it. Making the slaw is a really simple process. We're just going to throw together all of those ingredients we talked about before. The slaw mix, the green onions, the apple, the RQ Ivory barbecue sauce, a little apple cider vinegar, and then at the end we'll season it with some Plowboy's Yardbird rub. Give it a good toss and stick it in the fridge. Now back to our pork butt. Once we've achieved that really nice color, we're going to remove it from the pit and double wrap it in foil. Now before you get it wrapped up, go ahead and pour a few more tablespoons of your Smoke on Wheels pork injection on the meat. You want the butt wrapped nice and tight. Any air that's inside of there is going to create room for steam, and steam is going to ruin the bark you've created in the first 4 hours. Now we'll throw it back onto the pit, turn the pit up to 300 degrees, and let it cook until it's nice and tender. We're shooting for an internal finishing temperature of roughly 205 degrees. It's a good idea to have an instant read thermometer like the Maverick PT100 to let you know where you're at. When the shoulder blade can easily be pulled out of the roast, the meat should be cooked enough to pull. Once you've removed your butt from the cooker, open that foil up just a little bit and let it rest for about 20 or 30 minutes. During this time, you can go outside and toast your ciabatta buns. Now that the meat's had a chance to rest, I'm gonna throw on some cotton gloves and some nitriles and pull this meat apart by hand. We'll be saucing our pulled pork with a 50-50 combination of Blues Hog Original Barbecue Sauce and their Tennessee Red. It's a good idea to combine these in a saucepan and let them warm up a little bit. Now just pour that sauce over the top and incorporate it by hand. All that's left to do is to assemble our sandwiches. We got our nicely toasted ciabatta buns. That we'll top with a heaping portion of pulled pork and then some of that delicious slaw on top of the pulled pork. I'm telling you guys, I've tasted my fair share of pulled pork sandwiches, and this is a killer combination, so give it a try. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, you can head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.